Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a hot take on what's going on with the Democrats and the Biden administration. The usual suspects. Maxine Waters, Trump absolutely should be charged with premeditated murder. Eh, this is Maxine Waters, so we're pretty much used to her kind of nonsense. Um, this is, of course, in connection to the riots, and she's being interviewed by Joy Reid, the woman, whose blog was hacked. Um, so, good luck with that, I guess. I mean, I think it's just more nonsense from Maxine Waters. Biden breaks promise to provide $2,000 direct stimulus checks. It's official. I think this is unfair, actually, to him. He really didn't promise another 2,000. I don't think. I think he just promised 2,000 in total. And really, what's $600 going to do? I mean, first off, you're borrowing all the money. They're going to make us pay it all back in taxes. It's printing more money that makes the money more worthless. It's dumb. The whole stimulus check thing is dumb. He should force all the Democratic states to open. He doesn't even have to force them, really. He just has to tell them, come on, open your states now. It's fine. What to do about Marjorie Taylor Greene? This is from the American Thinker. It's an article making the argument, should we get rid of Marjorie Greene? Should Republicans jump on the bandwagon? My answer is no. No, don't give up Marjorie Greene, because the moment you give up Marjorie, you end up looking weak, and they'll come after more of you. So don't throw Marjorie under the bus. She hasn't done anything. If she has wacky views, so what? Lots of people in Washington have wacky views. Ben Carson had very wacky views. Lots of people do. Don't throw her under the bus just because of her wacky views. She's only one representative. Hey, if everybody in Congress got thrown out for their wacky views, AOC would be the first out the door. John Kerry defends taking gas-guzzling private jet to accept climate award in Iceland. The only choice for someone like me. That's typical Kerry response. Completely tone deaf. I mean, this is a guy, he married into big money, and he's just, he's just living that life completely clueless. He seems to me completely clueless. I don't know if there was ever the young John Kerry. I would have voted for president in a hot minute. But man, the later John Kerry, he's just pathetic. He'll go down history as one of the more pathetic people who ran for president. North Carolina's WRAL says Black Lieutenant Governor and Native American Board of Education member are KKK members for rejecting critical race theory. See, doesn't matter if you're black or a person, an indigenous person, I think they call someone like that. You're in the KKK because you don't want critical race theory. Welcome to the growing list of people who get called all sorts of nasty names because they won't bow down to this racism. Thankfully, these people stood up to it. Good for you guys. I hope you guys keep it out of your schools. It's really a cancer. It's just a cancer. The Resistance, North Dakota legislatures plan to nullify Biden's executive orders at state level. Good for you, North Dakota. You are legendary. The states can ignore some of this stuff. And quite frankly, Biden's in a bit of trouble. I'll come back to that later. But Biden is in a bit of trouble with the executive orders. This was from yesterday. It's now coming out that AOC wasn't even in the Capitol on January 6th. She was in a different building. She was in the offices that were across the street. She somehow got over there. She is a liar, I think. So, I don't believe her. I don't believe a word that comes out of this woman's mouth. I'm glad she's getting roasted on Twitter. roasted. And she's fighting back, too. She's saying, no, no, that's not what it says. That's not what it means. This is a big story. I'm surprised no one talked about it today. CDC mask order will be further enforced by federal authorities. See, the mask thing's creeping in. It's creeping in. It's creeping in. Now you're going to have to wear a mask on all the public transportations, airports, trains, planes, and automobiles. Not automobiles, but you know what I'm saying. And it's going to be enforced by federal authorities, whatever that means. I guess now the FBI will tackle you and put your damn mask on if you take it off in the wrong moment. It's ridiculous. Joe Biden, he's just terrible. I mean, he's only been president a couple weeks. As amazing Trump is, Joe Biden is that terrible. It's incredible. It's night and day. It's like heat miser and cold miser. I mean, this skeleton is just running us into the ditch. And he's doing it on every conceivable level. Dems push psychological evaluations for gun owners and family members. Now, if you're going to own a gun, you're going to have to go over a psych eval. If this passes, you're going to have to pay $800 in insurance fees, and a bunch of other guns will just be banned. I mean, it's nuts. It's total insane bureaucracy. It's Brazil level of bureaucracy. Not the country, but the movie. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. I don't think it'll pass, but Jesus, man, if even a tenth of this passes, it's insane. It's ridiculous. There's already tons of rules like that for mentally ill people. Joe Biden seeks to surge foreign-born voting population ahead of elections. You know, I think this is not only a dumb strategy, it's kind of racist, because it assumes that everybody comes into this country and just immediately votes Democrats. That's not going to be the case. Biden is an idiot, and so are the Democrats for pushing this, because as the Republicans become more and more the populist party, guess who's going to join them? Oh, it's going to be the immigrants, because they will be the working poor. They will be the ones who will benefit from the populist policies. They're not stupid. They're just from a different country. In fact, a lot of them are very educated about our country. They know things that a lot of people, my friend who's Canadian, half the time he throws out stuff, he knows more than the average person about American history and what happened. He had to take the test, so he knows it. You talk to some of these idiots and Antifa or BLM, they couldn't tell you anything. Republicans look to drop Rep. Ilhan Omar from committee assignments for anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Now, compare her to Marjorie Greene. Marjorie Greene's conspiracy theories, in my view, they're stupid. If she believes them, I don't even know she believes them. She may have talked about them, but when you make anti-Semitic remarks, that's going like a different step. That is, you know, it's not great. It's not great. I don't support it. I still say she shouldn't be slammed for that, but I understand why they would. I mean, really, the Republicans are doing the Democrats a favor by removing her from committee assignments. It's all politics, really. I mean, they're only doing it to Marjorie Greene because they can. They're only doing it to Ilhan Omar because they kind of can. But we'll see what happens. I have a sneaking suspicion that this won't fly. But Marjorie Greene will get ousted because they just keep putting it in the newspaper, media. Report, Adam Schiff lobbies to be California Attorney General, could run for Dianne Feinstein seat, Senate seat. Man, California, I mean, I don't know how lobotomized you'd have to be to vote for Adam Schiff. I mean, Jesus. You already had Gavin Newsom, and what an S show he was. You're going to put this guy in the Senate forever? Please. Just don't even bother. He's the worst. Out of all the guys you could pick, you're going to pick him? I mean, at least, you know, as much as I don't like Dianne Feinstein, I never felt she was malevolent. I thought she was a kind of incompetent, especially after we heard she had a Chinese spy working for her for like 20 years. But Adam Schiff, I mean, Jesus, man. Talk about a step down. Oh, and this is the other thing regarding Biden's deal, right? So, what was it now? I already forgot. All right. So, North Dakota is trying to nullify the order regarding the Keystone Pipeline. But there's another legal hurdle for Biden to overcome. And that is when Trump tried to get rid of DACA, the Supreme Court ruled that he couldn't just do that. He had to go through the administrative process because something like there was expectations from people and it had already been passed, so he couldn't just do that. Well, now they've set the precedent, so Biden's stuck. Biden will most likely lose this case and then have to go back and go through the administrative process. Now, maybe Biden planned that. The Democrats may have planned this. This may all just be for show. So Biden can say, well, I tried to cancel the Keystone Pipeline, but the Supreme Court wouldn't let me, which would probably give him ammo to pack the court, and he's trying to do that too. He's taking steps to do that. So it may all be part of the plan. I mean, keep in mind, these people think down the road. They're lining stuff up and planning. You have to in government because it takes forever to do anything. Nancy Pelosi calls from 911 type commission to investigate Capitol riot. Yeah, I'm sure that won't be an insane waste of money. Hunter Biden hires criminal defense lawyer whose colleague just landed top spot in Biden DOJ. Oh, I'm sure he'll be very thorough. I'm sure they're just going to investigate poor Hunter Biden to the ends of the earth. Yeah, what they're doing here, I think, is crafting a new narrative that they can present to wipe away all of Hunter's crimes, right? So he's been caught. It's sort of like when Al Capone got so out of control, the commission came together and said, Al, you're going to have to go to jail for a while on some trumped up charge just so we can tamp down the heat on everything. And so Al went to jail on like a weapons charge where he could run the mafia from jail, and he had a great cell, and they brought him food and everything. So it wasn't like he was in jail, but he was in jail kind of thing. It's going to be the same thing for Hunter. I think what they're going to do is they're going to come out and they're going to say, well, really this was all a big misunderstanding regarding his taxes, and he didn't pay his taxes. So he's going to pay a fine, and he's going to agree not to do certain things in the future, and it's all taken care of, everybody, and then it'll all be swept under the rug after that. And the IRS will get its pound of flesh, and Hunter will go his merry way and start, scheming for his dad to sell out the presidency, I assume. And finally, Janet Yellen. She's a woman, everybody. According to Biden's press secretary, Yellen gets ethics waiver to lead regulatory meeting on GameStop insanity after taking $810K from Citadel. See, you don't have to have ethics. You just need an ethics waiver. It's like a MassCard. For those of you who don't know the history of MassCards, I found this fascinating. A MassCard, today it's something different, but in the past, what it basically was, it eventually became a MassCard, but what it began was a way for rich people to essentially buy their way out of sin. It was like paying the church a sin fine, and then eventually it became like, well, I'm thinking about sinning. How much is that going to cost me? So people would pay the church, and then they'd go out and sin, and they were already absolved. So, I'm thinking about cheating on my wife. Well, that's going to cost you about $500. All right, that seems worth it. And so that's what this is. Oh, she gets an ethics waiver. She doesn't need any ethics in this particular case. She's just that good of a person. See how that works? See how that works? And they are desperately, desperately trying to tamp down the GameStop rebellion. So far, it hasn't worked. It's great to watch them suffer. GameStop went up, I hear, 20% today, or at least this morning when I was listening to the Lotus Eaters and they talked about it. I do not give out financial advice, by the way. I am not a financial planner or advisor. In fact, I'm very poor. And if you listen to me, you'll probably end up poor too. But hold, boys, hold. Because what you guys were doing, are doing, is great. And if I can ever figure out my Webull account, I hope to be joining you soon.